Okay, the logins are starting to stabilize, so I think maybe we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rodney Sobin, a senior fellow at NASEO. Welcome to today's NASEO State Industrial Working Group Forum. We are very pleased to be joined by the NIST Manufacturing Extension Partnership and the EPA Energy STAR program for industry. I'll provide a few remarks and introductions. I do see a few new faces who are very welcome. I shouldn't say faces, a few new names and boxes there. So welcome to the working group. We will have, after my introduction, a discussion on the EPA Energy STAR program for industry by Elizabeth Dutro, who directs the industrial sector partnerships at EPA. And she will be followed by NIST Manufacturing Extension Partnership. We're very glad to have Jyoti Malhotra, Dr. Malhotra, I should say, with NIST MEP, as well as Dr. Jose Colucci Rios and Brian Lagas to speak about the extension partnership and their increasing interest in energy and sustainability issues. And then we'll be followed by a period for questions and answers, as well as open discussion. Next slide, Sam. And thank you, and offering thanks to Sam Kramer, my colleague, who's been instrumental in putting these together. A little bit about logistics. Please mute when not speaking. We're a fairly small group, so feel free to use the chat box, and when it's a Q&A period, just raise your hand, chime in. We will take comments and questions both via the chat box as well as audio. This is being recorded and we will post the presentations. Next slide. Wanted to give a little bit of a background for those who have not been on these calls before. The purpose of the State Industrial Working Group is to help the state energy offices and other agencies and programs to identify, develop, and enhance resources to advance clean manufacturing. A big goal of ours is to enhance cooperation and coordination across different technical and business assistance programs. That has been a theme in some of our previous forums, and that certainly is in having NIST and EPA today. Of course, the reason to do that is to support your state economic development objectives, as well as your environmental and emissions reduction goals, and to support your energy reliability and resilience needs. We are interested both in strengthening and enhancing the productivity and well-being of existing industries, as well as advancing new technologies and industries. And as always, we offer our gratitude to US DOE and its Industrial Efficiency and Decarbonization Office for its support. Next, please. So at present, there are 17 states who are active in the working group, and there is some flux because state folks can participate a la carte, but everyone is welcome. These are mainly the state energy offices. We're NASEO, so the energy offices are our members, but we are very pleased to have, and I'm glad to see on the participants list, folks from other agencies and programs in a number of states. I see PennTap, I see from Connecticut, Chief Manufacturing Officer's Office, and we're very pleased to have folks outside of the energy offices as well. Next, please. So we offer a variety of web resources and email updates on technical assistance programs, funding opportunities, reports, studies, events. I won't read through the recent items, except I will note a couple of things. One is DOE grants for small and medium-sized manufacturers to implement Industrial Assessment Center and CHP Technical Assistance Partnership recommendations. The first tranche, actually, the first applications are due very soon. I forgot whether it's this week or next week, but it's part of an IIJA or bill provision that provides matching grant funds for small and medium enterprises. So there will be future tranches. Quite exciting, hot off the virtual press. Just today, I saw that DOE has announced a selection of its on-site energy technical assistance partnerships. This sort of the CHP taps are now going to be called on-site energy taps. And so I see Penn State in the room, our Penn Tap colleagues and friends. Penn State is one of the winners, along with Pace University for the Mid-Atlantic region. Congratulations. I won't read the entire list of winners, but I will also note for the Connecticut folks at University of Connecticut will be the National Technical Analysis and Support Center lead. So congratulations to your institutions and states, and that's a very exciting thing that's happening. I won't read through the list of the other items. We do try to keep the webpage up to date, and even that recent thing about the on-site energy taps, we just posted an item. Next slide, please. Okay, so we've had several forums and a public webinar with the Renewable Thermal Collaborative fairly recently. So this is the third forum, the fourth online event for the working group. Tentatively, please pencil in September 13th. Topic to be determined, but we welcome your suggestions as well. Potential future topics include the IRA tax credits for, that are manufacturing oriented, 45X, 48C, DOE's industrial decarbonization roadmap, and there's another more recent document that they put in, that they just released, Pathways to Commercial Liftoff. They have an interim presentation, so that could be, as some of you know, the Defense Production Act is pertinent to our work, as well as the CHIPS and Sciences Act. And of course, we do look forward to state focus features, as we've had states speak in the past. And we're always welcoming of state case studies, experiences, and lessons. And I think I'm babbling enough, so I would like, if you could, Sam, put the next slide, I would like to hand it over to Betsy to tell us about the ENERGY STAR Industrial Program.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm Betsy Dutrow, and I work in EPA's ENERGY STAR Industrial Program. I will apologize for my voice. I'm getting over COVID. I'm going to talk with you today about the ENERGY STAR program and some of the resources that we have that I think will help all of you. Could we advance the slide, please? So first, what is ENERGY STAR? I'll describe for you what we are as a program, why we focus on industrial efficiency, how we've worked with manufacturers in the past, and new ways that we intend to do that. And then I'm going to cover resources that I think can be very helpful to those of you working with industry as well. Next, please. ENERGY STAR is a voluntary government program that EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, started back in 1992. We formed this program to address climate change, and that goal has not changed from the beginning. We've always been about energy efficiency, and it's the best of energy efficiency. How can we help consumers and businesses come up with the best performance they can in regard to energy efficiency? That little cyan label that you see on the slide is very well recognized. It's why we call it the national symbol for energy efficiency, with public awareness greater than 90%. We've run this program in three main different areas. Products, where you may buy a product or consumer product for your home or office. You may buy a home with the ENERGY STAR label on it. You can now find buildings and even manufacturing plants that bear the ENERGY STAR. We have over 800 industrial companies that are partners, and those have thousands of plants under management. Next, please. The Good Housekeeping brand was surveyed years ago, and this is a result of that survey. ENERGY STAR beat out Good Housekeeping with over 92% of the recognition. And most of that was tremendous influence, or a great deal of influence on decision-making by those people who were surveyed. It even beat out energy, the EPA label itself, and a lot of others that the public recognizes. The point is we find companies actually like to associate their brands with this brand, which was a nice thing to know when you're working in a program like this. Next. The business case that we use is very simple. And I should stop. Why am I telling you the business case? Well, I'm saying this because it's not clear to me that everyone has implemented an industrial program out there across the country in the states and such. And if you haven't, it's a great time to do it. And we would be happy to help you. Our business case is a simple one. It saves a company money. Every company likes to save money that they can reinvest in the business. Second, it's a low risk investment that generally pays back. And most people don't realize that. And finally, it is available now. There are a lot of energy efficiency technologies that industry can implement. Now, why is this so important? It's important because as we decarbonize, we need to look at decarbonizing thermal fuels, and we need to look at decarbonizing the grid. Any renewable energy that goes on the grid that is not used efficiently is wasted, and it can't go as far as it should. And it's the same thing with renewable fuels. So we have to now make sure that they go farther than they can, and that they may be going now. We need to keep improving efficiency. Next, please. We work in 3 different ways. The first is by industry. The second is by company. And soon we'll be working through regional hubs trying to reach even more industry. Next, please. So I'm going to start by telling you what we've done on an industry by industry basis. 20 years ago, we started by picking industries. The ENERGY STAR focus industries, as we call them, were where we began. And these are specialized work that we do with specific industries to address specific energy efficiency needs of those industries. We always provide an industry and energy guide that looks at the opportunities for efficiency in that industry's plants. We provide them with a measurement tool that helps them to benchmark the energy performance of their plants nationally. And the third we provide is a network where you see all of these people on the slides. Those folks are energy managers from different industries, and they meet regularly to share best practices. Next, please. Our focus industries are diverse. We've got over 33 of them now. Here you see some. We start with aerospace. We've worked with the chemical industry, such as ammonia and nitrogenous fertilizer. We get into food, cement, glass, even auto production or motor vehicle production, down to refining and ending up in steel. I won't read all of these off, but you're going to get my slides so you can read them when you get a chance. You want to work with one of these industries, let us know. We tend to have meetings regularly, and we could engage with you. Next, please. Our energy guides are on our website, and they're there to use and to be shared. So the energy guides are compilations of how an industry can improve efficiency. It gives background on how energy is used in the industry. It gives guidance on how to build an energy program. It covers general plant systems. So that would be things like lighting or compressed air, things that all manufacturing plants have. And then we get into manufacturing specific systems. So here you see 2 that are listed for brine preparation and electrolysis. That's because one of our newest focus industries is the chlor-alkali industry. And those are 2 important business-related technologies for them. But we do work with a lot of industries, and we have a lot of specific manufacturing systems considered. We also provide information where we can find it on the cost savings and the payback periods for opportunities in these sectors when it's available. All of them are found on our website, and I'm not going to read this out each time, but it will be energystar.gov/, and in this case, it would be energy guides. That's the alias to find the energy guides listed on our website. Next, please. Our energy performance indicators are an energy management tool that's very unique to ENERGY STAR. This is a data-based way to judge how efficiently a plant should be operating in regard to its energy performance compared to the industry. Our tools correct for and normalized for differences between these plants that affect energy use. So every plant is compared to its industrial curve, and it can then be normalized for factors that are important to that to energy performance in that sector. We create these based on actual industry data. It takes several years to work with an industry to do this. We use plant production data, we use actual energy use, and many more factors in the models before we release them for industry to test. Once industry's tested them several times and we feel the model's performing, we release it as an energy management tool. Now, if any of you are working with plants where we have energy performance indicators, you can access these tools from our website, and these can be then used to score the plant on a scale of 1 to 100. We believe that top performance is 100 and lowest performance is down to 1. Average is at 50. So in our case, it's a score of 1 to 100, and the plant knows how well they're performing once they see their score. Next, please. This is a slide that illustrates how an energy performance indicator works. In the case of this industry, it's cement, and it's asking the question, is 6 million BTU per ton of clinker, which is a product that comes out of a cement kiln, high or low for an average cement plant? Because we've modeled this industry 3 times now, and we're on the 4th version of the energy performance indicator for them, we know that 6 million BTU per ton for an average cement plant is pretty high. Therefore, there are plants out there that are performing much better. The model will give an average, it will give an actual energy intensity to the plant, and then of course score it, and they can use that information to set goals, to improve and measure future performance. Next, please. We certify plants as well, and we do this based on the results of the energy performance indicator tool. Because ENERGY STAR identifies what is best, the energy performance indicator is the tool that we use to judge how well a plant should be performing to deserve the ENERGY STAR certification on it. So the best performing plants score 75 or higher. That's top quartile in the US. But I also want to point out that Natural Resources Canada will certify Canadian plants as well for many of the sectors that we have certified. And so we all use the same models to judge those plants' performance. Plants then that have verified and proven energy performance using the energy performance indicator for their industry may apply for certification from ENERGY STAR's program. That information is at the ENERGY STAR website /plants. What you see on the slide, my right side of the slide, is the actual banner that a plant can display on a flag or banner at the plant. And that is how it bears the ENERGY STAR. Secondly, you see a picture of a plant down in Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Titan America Corporation. And this plant in particular has had ENERGY STAR certification for the cement plant for over 16 years continuously, meaning that it has been one of the most efficient plants in the United States for 16 years. Next, please. Now we're going to switch gears to how we work individually with plants or companies. And all of our tools, again, are at right/industry. Next, please. Our goal is very simple, and that's to get industrial companies on the path to managing energy and keep them there. Next. We have several ways that ENERGY STAR helps these manufacturers. The first is we have very useful, intuitive tools that help them to build an energy program. Second, we have energy treasure hunt guidance. Now, why would I point out treasure hunts? It sounds a little childish, but the tool is a nice way of talking about doing plant assessments. And this is one way to identify quick and easy savings and build success and build energy teams up among a plant. Technical energy guides are also available, as we've already discussed. We have goal setting tools that help to provide recognition for achievement of those goals. We have a national network of energy managers within industry where they meet regularly to discuss and learn from one another. And finally, from among those industrial companies that we have worked with and trained over the years, many of them come back to work with us as strategic industrial energy advisors, and they work in coaching a lot of our companies that join the ENERGY STAR partnership. So actual energy advisors from industry. Next, please. Our basic energy management is the ENERGY STAR guidelines for energy management. And you may recognize this graphic. Maybe you've seen it turned sideways. It is the foundation for what most of you may know as the ISO 50001 standard. That has been in existence for a number of years, but this predates all of that. And we have this guidance out there on our website. It's been there for over 20 years on how to develop an energy program. We looked across all of the partners in our energy commercial and industrial program, and we looked at their best practices, and that's where the guidelines came from. It was what did work in industry and what was a success factor. No certification is required to these guidelines, and they're free on the website. Next, please. But the question is how do you actually use a set of written guidelines? So we have created what we call a gap analysis tools to decide where energy management in a plant or a company needs help. It needs to be quick and easy, regardless of the company size. The point of the gap analysis is to compare how a company is currently managing energy with what we know to be best practice. We believe that 10 minutes usually is what it takes to work with a company to go through their program in place and get a quick look at where they can improve. Next, please. Here are 3 gap analysis tools that you can download from our site, and any company can do that for that matter. We have a corporate energy management program matrix, which is best suited for larger companies with multiple plants. We have a facility energy program assessment matrix, which works well for plants and is catered to things that plants do in place. And finally, we have a small manufacturing assessment matrix, which you see here for very small operations, because many times these will have less actions that they'll tolerate. And this is the basics for a small site. Next, please. So once a company knows where they can improve and put some place actions that will improve their energy management program, then we have the question that many people ask, how do I find savings? Smaller companies and even larger companies for that matter engage in a variety of types of assessments. There can be wholesale assessments that go on for long periods of time, or bringing in consultants. At the same time, we learned of something called a treasure hunt years ago when we were working with Toyota. The energy manager there designed a process he called treasure hunts. It's positive, it's engaging. Everyone wants to find energy treasure. So these are simplified plant assessments and procedures that engage internal teams in the plants in the search for energy savings. Those treasure hunts really build ownership in a plant for the findings that you find out of a treasure hunt. Next, please. So what did we do? We hired the energy manager from Toyota, and he wrote the guidance for this because he hadn't written it down before in terms of guidance documents. So on our website at /treasure hunt, you can find the treasure hunt guidance on how to conduct treasure hunts. There are some treasure maps there. There is one for general manufacturing plants, meaning that it's a general systems analysis. We have a specific one for ready mixed concrete and breweries as well. We've had videos created of how treasure hunts look when you're doing them. There are case studies, and we even have some resources in Spanish. Next, please. So let me drill a bit into that general treasure map. The general treasure map is great to take out and use with manufacturing plants. It covers things such as facility energy management, systems like compressed air motors, steam and hot water, fans, and so forth. I won't go into all of them, but if you get a chance, look it up and see if it might be something you could use with plants in your area. Next, please. We've also had questions from companies asking, how can we motivate our plants to do more? It's an energy manager at a central level has to have ways to get people to do things. You can set goals, of course, and that should be done. But there are ways to also reward those sites. And so we created a reward tool called the ENERGY STAR Challenge for Industry. And the whole point is to get a plant to take its basic goals and then raise that visibility of those energy initiatives that are being undertaken through the pursuit of that goal to show that the achievements that they get some recognition. So the Energy Star Challenge for Industry sets a goal for industry automatically. It's a 10% improvement in energy intensity in 5 years or less. Plants take this, or manufacturing sites. We have terminals in the oil industry and the cement industry that have taken them. It doesn't have to be a manufacturing plant. It really is an industrial site. We have mines and we have quarries that have taken this challenge. Manufacturers' average savings that we have seen are at least 20% in 2 years or less, and that's for companies that have done nothing. So we've seen plants over 50% savings for the first time they've taken the challenge. Next, please. Plants sign up, or sites. They register a baseline with Energy Star. We check it to make sure they know what they're doing. Once the plant has works to achieve, if they get to the point that they can show that they have achieved that 10% savings, we'll ask them to submit their data, we'll review it to make sure they're correct, and then we'll inform them that they've achieved the challenge. When we recognize them, we will recognize them with the logo that you see there, the Achiever logo. We'll list them on our website, and we will send a congratulatory letter to their CEO, recognizing the plant for its savings. If a plant takes the challenge but doesn't make the 10% in 5 years or less, there's no penalty for non-achievement. We ask they consider signing up again and trying again. But the point is to achieve and to try to get there. All of this information about the challenge is at /industry challenge. Next, please. There's one other form of recognition I will tell you about. This is for partners in the program. When an industrial company joins Energy Star, they commit to improve their energy performance. When they get Partner of the Year, they apply for it. And this is recognition for what we consider to be world-class corporate energy management programs. And these programs show partnership with Energy Star in promoting the Energy Star program to other industry and others. They have documented savings, and they have a world-class program through our review. Next, please. There are a host of materials on our website, which I can't even begin to go through on this slide. So just suffice it to say, we've got guidance for energy teams and a lot of other things. We have regular web conferences for the partners. We have employee engagement materials, new communication materials that are coming out even as we speak. All of this is available to companies to use to promote and engage and build greater energy efficiency in their organizations. Next, please. The network itself, as I mentioned, is over 800 industrial partners strong. We use this network to train industry. We use it to allow them to learn from one another. The strategies that they come up with are only from them, and they have very good ways of working through problems and problem solving. And we also use the network to let them boost their image through earned recognition. For industry to join, it's /join. Next, please. We thought it might be nice to show you that we do work across the states in the US for certified plants and challenge plants only. This is in no way all of the involvement we have across states, but these are just where plants have engaged with the challenge and certified. And of course, you understand that plant certification is only top quartile. So there's a limited number of certified plants in the US, but this is just a quick glimpse. Next, please. You can see the networks are busy, they work, they meet, they learn, and that's really the point of the networking. Next, please. Our next act, so to speak, is through regional hubs, as I call them. EPA has 10 regions throughout the US, and we have folks in the regions that reach out to industry with us. And we will be engaging more small and medium industry where it lives. Those hubs will not only provide and receive Energy Star support, but we're interested in outreach partners. So if you are interested in joining with us and reaching out to industry, I welcome you to contact me and let me know. We're really creating this focus on all of small and medium manufacturing, but we're also going to include an emphasis, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, on construction material industries. So sectors such as asphalt pavement, ready-mix concrete, many of these are smaller size companies and they need a lot of help managing energy. So we will be reaching out to industries such as those as well. But we will not be ignoring the industries we've already worked with, such as dairies, bakeries, and even smaller companies, metal casting and so forth. So if we can include you as a partner in our new outreach, we'd love to have you. Next, please. I've included my last slide as ways that I think you could take advantage of ENERGY STAR for industry if you're interested. So first of all, again, if you haven't addressed industry and you're interested in your region looking into it, please consider it. I'm happy to talk with you. ENERGY STAR has a lot of resources and we're happy to help you get started. Secondly, we would recommend our tools to industry you meet. So refer industry to our program, share our tools with them, have us contact someone you want. We're happy to support them. And then finally, you can join us as a partner in our hubs and we'd be happy to take out all resources to industry that we meet. So my last slide is my contact information. And you can reach me by phone or by email, and I'd be happy to talk with you. So thank you so much for the opportunity to talk today.
Thank you so much, Betsy. We're looking forward to increasing our engagement with you, and I hope our states will as well. There's a great amount of resources here, and also I'll ask your advice to beef up on our website. We have one line referring to you. We may want to have some highlights to add, and that's also the same for our NIST MEP colleagues and friends. And I will encourage people to ask questions, but after the next presentation. So Jyoti, thank you very much for joining us along with your colleagues. Please take it away, and I think we need to move a couple slides down. Okay, great. And the slides will be posted. You'll notice Betsy had a couple of other more technical slides, and that will be available in the deck. Okay, go ahead, Jyoti. Thank you.
All right, Rodney and NASEO team, thank you so much for presenting us this opportunity. Thank you for including MEP. I hope you can hear me well. If folks can give thumbs up virtual or
yes, we can hear you fine.
Excellent, very good. This is great segue to talk about MEP Manufacturing Extension Program after what Betsy has been talking on ENERGY STAR. Just very quickly, MEP has great deal of focus on energy manufacturing sector, and from my team, two of my finest members, Brian and Jose, are joining us today. They will also speak on some of the slides. So great to be here. Thank you again. Let's go to the next slide, please. So NIST is part of the Department of Commerce. We have three flagship programs, MEP, definitely Manufacturing Extension Partnership Program, which is all about strengthening US manufacturing with focus on small and medium-sized manufacturers, providing diverse portfolio of services to the small manufacturers. And then our other two programs are Manufacturing USA, which NIST has a liaison office at the agency, and also Baldrige Performance Excellence, which is focused on workforce and job quality and other toolkits in their toolbox. So again, these are the three key programs with the NIST that connects the dot with manufacturers. Next one, please. So the MEP is a public-private partnership with our centers, which we'll talk here in a bit, are across the nation, which we have 51 MEP centers, one in every state and in Puerto Rico. And the centers model is they are non-fed, they are not federal entities, but they are basically, you know, in addition to NIST MEP funding, they also need to come up with their own stream of funding or stream of revenue, again, to help that services they provide to small and medium-sized manufacturers, and also some to large manufacturers. Next one, please. So people, planet, and profit. You see as you see this very busy slide of our service portfolio, but the one indicating with the blue arrows, those are the ones that connect with the 3 Ps, and that is the workforce services, that centers, 51 centers, and that is MEP National Network provide to manufacturers. Lean Kata, which is again the continuous improvement that manufacturers seek for their business continuity, for their strategic planning. MEP centers act as a trusted advisor to manufacturers, helping them prepare for that next leap in their either their manufacturing processes, product development, product commercialization, and beyond. Sustainability in every manufacturer's wish list, you know, not just have that one-time success, but have the continuous sustainable success and growth. Business growth services, again, ISO quality is core to any manufacturer's success when it comes to delivering the product first time right. And risk mitigation. All these services are part of MEP Center's portfolio, and there are additional technology focused areas and also business focused areas. So we have supply scouting, we have Industry 4.0 cyber, other, you know, food industry services. We basically are in every manufacturing sector, and we also help manufacturers pivot to new markets. Brian here leads the Export Tech service area, and again, keeping that pipeline of new kata coaches and new services. That's one of our key areas as a liaison for manufacturers. Next one, please. In this slide, basically pointing out through our MEP centers, that is our 51 centers and national network, we have over 1,400 manufacturing experts. Manufacturers look us not just as mere consultants, but that trusted advisors who connect, who help convene the right resources and people and subject matter experts that and expertise that manufacturers need. Partners, we are we are housed at NIST agency, so our internal partner is NIST Labs. But beyond that, we also have great engagements with federal labs, with state and local government, with other agencies, including DOE, EPA, you name it, and also the economic development. So truly for the MEP, as you will see in our outcomes, our ROI, economic growth for our nation, and growing such domestically through each region with help of these MEP centers is key. So economic growth is, I would say, is the MEP's currency. And then these other service providers and partners, so centers, the 51 centers, in addition to the partners that I just listed, they have third-party vendors, third-party providers, and their own regional partnerships. So we pay a great deal of attention to that P of MEP, that is partnership. We have 430 service locations, MEP centers. Each of them have different models. Some of them have one office where all their staff resides, and some of them have multiple field offices. Again, trying to reach to as many manufacturers as the centers can reach. Technology transfer. So technology transfer comes in different flavors, not just traditional licensing, but how can we, NIST MEP and MEP national network of 51 centers, help make that leap from technology readiness level to manufacturing readiness levels. That's what MEP centers do every day. Next slide, please. MEP centers, the organizational structure is very diverse. As you can see, 24 MEP centers have 501c3 designation, while there is Mississippi MEP center that has 501c6. There are 18 MEP centers which are university based, and then there are 8 MEP centers that are state based. The key point here is that our outreach to state and university and other key stakeholders is wide, and we do take diversity. We do definitely have diverse outreach in terms of our stakeholders and partnerships, and how we are based in terms of our structure within each MEP center is also diverse. Next one, please. This is one of the, all slides are important, but I particularly like this slide because this is our, which centers fruit of labor and our ROI on federal dollar investment. As you can see, with help of the 51 MEP centers and them being our boots on ground, we were able to create or retain over 116,000 jobs in FY22. And as you can see, in new and retained sales, our ROI is 18.8 billion and 6.4 in the total new client investment. Cost savings 2.5 billion. And I want to make one point here that these are based on third-party surveys, that is basically client surveys. So there is no bias here. Whoever MEP centers clients are clients, in meaning the manufacturers their centers are serving. Manufacturers fill out this survey, so these numbers are directly coming from our clients / manufacturers that MEP national networks serve. I want to bring your attention to one particular metric that is at the bottom, which is for every $1,300 of federal investment, MEP national network is able to create or retain one manufacturing job. So want to get your attention to that metric. Next one, please. So the three core pillars of the MEP's strategic plan, and that is narrowing the workforce gap, mitigating supply chain vulnerabilities, and leveraging technologies. These are all intertwined, and as you open our national strategic plan for advanced manufacturing, our national strategy that President's administration rolled out, these three core pillars align with those. So these three core pillars also align with Manufacturing USA Institute's road mapping. So these are intertwined, and this is the critical areas for any manufacturer to again have that sustainable business growth. Next one, please. On the workforce, so the two things here, first is the addressing the workforce shortage. The centers provide services in workforce, training. I won't be exaggerating if I say that about 50% of everything that centers do has some component of workforce or workforce training. If it relates to upskilling or use of technology, partnerships, improving work conditions, serving underserved population and making that integration of underserved population into manufacturing. That's, that's one of our some of our key approaches for shortening that workforce gap. And then when it comes to building new pipeline, again, whenever we talk to any universities, doesn't matter, it's a HBCU or is it a non-HBCU, what we hear is the younger generation, the next generation workforce, the students, the workforce pipeline, they need to know manufacturing is getting advanced. It's not the same, it's not as it's not as dirty, like some of the work younger generation may perceive of manufacturing. Truly, with integration of AI and machine learning and others, we are not replacing the people, but we are integrating people with the new advanced manufacturing technologies, including robotics, so that learning and rebranding manufacturing, especially for the next generation workforce, is critical. And partnerships, without partnerships with our stakeholders, I think it will be harder to address the workforce gap that we have, in our manufacturing sectors. Next one, please. This is the team here put efforts to give this numbers. So the dark blue, that's the clients served, clients meaning the manufacturers that NIST MEP national network of 51 centers are serving. So you can see we are serving about 5,000 clients again with that workforce project. On a yearly basis, the centers reach out to over 33,000 manufacturers on a yearly basis, and about 10,000 manufacturers are clients on a yearly basis to the centers that centers are serving. And as you can see, 8,000 projects, those are related to workforce training. So you can see workforce is almost every part of the service that centers provide. Next slide, please. Building workforce, domestic workforce. So we have this competitive award program, CAP, that we fund MEP centers, and this came out of multiple centers working together on a workforce initiative, because the centers call it as America Works CAP, competitive award project that was funded. And as you can see, the outreach of the centers to diverse population, young professionals, career tech students, high school students, 4-year college students, again, that second chance, the re-entry of the workers and special needs. As you can see, centers are in trying to reach to every, the diverse workforce pipeline, and also with focus on underserved populations. Next slide, please. Supply chain optimization. So very recently, we allocated and invested $20.4 million, giving each center up to 400K for next 2 years without asking any cost share from the centers. And what was our ask? Our ask was very simple, and that is each center, all 51 centers, must have a supply chain expert, dedicated personnel within their team, so that we can build regional, local supply chain connection, and then collectively build the domestic supply chain interconnectivity. And as I speak, the centers have gotten their awards, and we are talking to various agencies. MEP is part of very many interagency council, including National Science and Technology Council's Supply Chain Implementation Committee, and wherein we provide updates on our what's happening between MEP centers and OEM large manufacturers interactions, what's happening with inquiries we receive from various agencies, including BETC, US, EPA. So we want to make sure there are feedback loops within agencies, and we educate the agencies and the manufacturers of any business to business transactions that come out of this supplier scouting services and supply chain optimization expansion program that we are leading. Next slide, please. Leveraging technology. So we have 9 focus areas in terms of technology services: industrial IoT, cloud computing, cybersecurity, additive, robotics, industrial automation, augmented reality, simulation, and big data. These all align again with the national strategy for advanced manufacturing, and also with our house agency. NIST lab has thousands of great researchers and unique lab facilities, research facilities. So it aligns with such. I want to quickly highlight, we have a service offering, which we call it as Matter Plus, where any manufacturer or any manufacturing supporting organization can reach out to us with their technical needs, their product development needs, their testing needs, and we connect them to the NIST researcher and help enable that manufacturer. Next slide, please. This is where my team, Brian and Jose, will take over the slides, and will definitely look forward to hearing what you have to say and your questions. But right now, I'm going to pass on to Brian and Jose. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jyoti. Brian Logus here with NIST MEP in the National Programs Division. And as Jyoti kind of worked through those slides, you understand how strong our partnerships are and how we've been able to build that over our 35 years as a national program. And those 51 centers really are the boots on the ground working with the small and medium manufacturers. So if we can go to the next slide, I want to kind of dig deeper into our sustainability initiatives and where we've seen that. Many of you may have heard of the terms in the past. We've worked with other federal agencies around the Green Suppliers Network and the E3 Energy Economy and Environment. I'll go into that a little bit deeper on the next slide. But here you can kind of see the connections that are made across the United States and Puerto Rico with our partners. Everything from those trade associations and nonprofits, other federal agencies. You know, we talk about EPA and DOE. We've worked with the SBA on loan initiatives. We've looked at the USDA and some of the rural outreach and some of those opportunities with REAP grants and other opportunities there. We've seen that the higher education, a number of our MEP centers, as you know, are housed within universities. So you think of Tennessee or Georgia or others, where we've got a connection right to the universities and other technology transfer there. And how do we get the voice of the customer, which is really that small medium manufacturer, back through the MEP center, making that connection back to either an industry laboratory or a university and some of the technologies there. So next slide, please. Back in probably the 2008 timeframe, we had a program called the Green Suppliers Network, which was a very supply-focused, vertically integrated with our suppliers, and looking at how do we help strengthen the supply chain around sustainability initiatives. Everything from looking at the carbon footprint across an entire supply chain with the OEMs. And a lot of our MEP clients are going to be, you know, second, third, fourth tier suppliers. How do we help them understand the importance of sustainability and to be proactive in this area of sustainability, not just reacting to what an OEM or a top-down push is, but how do we then position these companies to really be in a position where they can be at the table offering services, their technologies around sustainable manufacturing. You see this in a lot of ways where the small companies, it may be a little bit overwhelming or cost preventative for them to step into some of these environmental areas, but it really matters, how do we help them gain that competitive edge by reducing their environmental costs, maybe their impact. And if you take the reactive and then a proactive mindset, we look at how do we help them enter new markets by developing environmentally focused materials, products, or processes, again, where they can be positioned in that supply chain. And all of us know that sustainability, it's not a new concept, but the cost will sometimes outweigh the benefits initially for a small company. So where we have to really look at that ROI for companies is anywhere between that 18 to 36 months for those small companies. They're not going to spend thousands of, a retirement investment fund for a small business owner is not going to take their 401k and put that into a, $250,000 project. But how do we get some quick wins around sustainability? If it's, recycling, if it's, pollution prevention, water usage, other things like that, that we can help companies on just those projects to then get that energy and excitement inside an organization to really be focused on sustainability. Some of our sustainable manufacturing, it really becomes how do we make products using less energy, less materials, producing the less waste, fewer hazardous materials. We talked to the companies about that. Some of them hadn't even thought about this is the way we've done business for 20 years. Well, let's think about it a little bit differently now. And how do we help them offer products that might be recyclable, use less energy? It's just an opportunity for them to see things kind of going forward and also having an environmental focus on that. So next slide, please. So I think here we look at some of the cost savings, increased competitiveness, and access to technical financial resources. We rely on the connections that the MEP centers have. Some of our MEP centers are going to look much different. Our center in California is going to be much larger in terms of their staffing versus the center in Delaware. But the center in Delaware is going to be very effective as well as they, like Jyoti said, use their third-party resources. And that becomes how do we bring in the experts to go in, kind of have a, if they're going with a lean, clean, and green mindset, how do we help them not only with processes, but then environmental opportunities there? The competitiveness is really, again, looking at that supply chain and where can we be positioned to enter into those new markets. And we've talked about the workforce and how do we equip and train workforce, not only to recruit, but also retain that strong workforce. I think where the state agencies have been a great asset to us is really looking at the local programs that are available. If there might be any kind of training dollars, grants, reimbursement programs for energy and efficiency, how do we help companies to not only understand where those application processes mean, but help them actually prepare that paperwork to either have that reimbursement, get the funding. And that really becomes an incentive for them to find that low-hanging fruit. How do they help get those projects going and then see those quick wins? Because once that is started, it becomes, okay, what are we looking for? And that becomes the continuous improvement, the process we're looking at internally. So we really have problem solvers that we're developing inside our organizations to really look for the next opportunity. So I think with the next slide, I'll turn it over to Jose.
Yes, thank you, Brian. Very quickly, since we want to get into the questions, here, Brian and I actually did an analysis of our centers just to see which ones actually may take advantage of some of the opportunities with regard to the funding program that DOE was establishing. And the criteria was very simple: which ones have done several projects related to energy, and which ones also will have a collaboration with the state agency, which most likely will be interested in programs from DOE. So you see here like a funnel, and basically at the end, you see what came out of centers that when we see some of these requests for proposals, Brian and I go out and individually go and target those centers. What you see on the right was based on the list that Robin basically provided us. The green ones are the ones that are in those lists. So next one, please. One of the things that we do, and when I say we, it's actually Brian, whenever we have a collaboration with any other agency, we have this network news, MEP network news, that comes out every 2 weeks. And I think we have, the number I remember is like maybe a couple, 2,000 or 3,000 people that get the network news. And we provide information there after we get the approval from the organization or the agency that want to post this. Typically in the area of energy, you'll see the name of either Brian and I, that then if they want any information. And this was very helpful with the state manufacturing leadership, because with that program, we have a few centers that then contacted us to get more information. And we're doing the same in other the programs that are coming down the pipeline. Next one. One of the things that we have been participating also for a long time in the area of awareness and pipeline development is the Manufacturing Day. So I imagine some of your offices also participate on this. So this is an area very important to us. And by us, I mean a lot of the centers, or probably almost all of them, have activities related to Manufacturing Day. either organizing them or being part of somebody that organizes them. So I don't have the numbers, but in general, activities, one time I remember there were over 1,000 of activities, because it's not really a day. In reality, in some centers, it's like a week or 2 weeks that they have activity related to manufacturing is, what do you call it? Manufacturing is not cute, it's cool. Manufacturing is cool, for example. All right, next one, please. And normally when we have presentations to potential collaborators, we always want to have one slide that says, well, how well we can collaborate. And I was looking at the first slide that Ronnie showed with regard to things that you guys do. And basically every single item that was there, by coincidence, we established it here. So first of all, you know, we are big on awareness. We understand, first of all, that manufacturing is still not considered sexy. And then when you add the other component of energy, as you all know, there's always all that fluctuation with regard to the barrel of oil and all that. So we are going all out with some of the centers, trying to figure out, you know, basically going in and figure it out how we can do more effective awareness campaigns, collaborating with obviously DOE, and then obviously with you now. As I think, as Elizabeth mentioned, you know, ecosystem now is very critical. So organizations cannot do this on their own. So one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to have our centers basically establish collaborations like that ring that Brian showed with regard to connectors. Well, we want to make that even stronger. So this is an area that we're looking into. What kind of ecosystems will be applying to the clean energy sector? The other thing, and this is a lot encouraged and promoted by GOTI, is that not only we want to talk to people, we want to be sure that those collaborations are leveraged and strengthened. You know, they're strengthened collaborations, and we go. Whoever is interested in talking about basically manufacturing, and in this particular case about energy, we want to talk to them and see what kind of collaboration would be a win-win. I mean, that's the other component. I mean, this is not something just like could be only one organization. We're also looking to different organizations that probably will also get something out of it. And the conversation, we always start, what do you want out of it? And then this is what we want out of it. And if there's alignment, then we proceed with the collaboration. And the other one, I think GOTI mentioned, I mean, we are looking into the supply chain ironically, our centers work on that way before COVID. And now we obviously the whole reshoring and basically robustness and the defense industrial base and even pharma. A lot of the intermediates that go into pharma are not made in the US. So now this is an area that's the reason we invested $20 million. So if anybody's interested in making the particular supply network in locally, regional, or even nationally, please talk to us, because now we're developing the tools at the centers in order to be able to do that. And obviously for this particular seminar, energy is one of the categories that we want to look into. And then on that point, we had a Clean Energy Roundtable, June 29. We have 100 people attended the event. We have excellent panelists in there. We have from DOE, we have Kelly Visconti. We have also from GE, we had 2 representatives from 2 different organizations there. We also have from NSF. And then we have an incredible, very strong alliance with Argonne National Lab. We are aligned in all 3 components, so we're working with them. And then on the 19th, this is a passion of all 3 of us, GOTI, Brian and I, environmental and social governance. I mean, this goes back, I guess, I started as an environmentalist. I moved into sustainable development, especially energy. And now in environmental and social governance is a very important topic, and we're glad it is. And we're going to have a webinar on July 19th. Anybody interested, I mean, a webinar, a roundtable. So it's virtual. So if you're interested, let us know and we can send you the invite. It's going to be at 1:30 p.m. And we're going to have panelists from Total Energy, a subsidiary that is Sage Battery out of Maryland. We also have Eastman Chemicals will also be part of the panelists. We're going to have the National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Medicine will also be there. And then on the theoretical front, we have Casey Morris from NIST Labs that is also work on this area too. And we also have a small company that developed a scorecard with regard to ESG. So we're going to present that to our client, to our centers. Next slide, please. Thank you. And now we're basically opening the floor for questions. And thank you, Rodney, for the invitation.
Thank you so much. That's fantastic. Both sets of presentations have been wonderful and very informative. I certainly learned a lot, and I have quite a few questions. And I saw, Jose, you posed a question to Betsy, but before that, I note a couple of our energy offices have chimed in the meeting chat. And I'd like to invite Stacy Washington from South Carolina to maybe say a few words amplifying on her chat comment.
Hello, everyone. Sure. I'm Stacy Washington of South Carolina. I would just, this, set off a light bulb in my head about workforce development. We've used MEP for just connecting people with training for them to advertise our training, even to use our facilities and things like that. And also they advertise energy assessments that have been conducted through Clemson University. They had an IAC before this last round, and then they have pollution prevention funding from EPA to do, and they can do energy assessments through that too. So they've been doing that, but now I'm thinking, oh, workforce development, upskilling, I think that was on one of the slides. We need some of that. And I think this might be another avenue, working with MEP to do some of that as our facilities are transitioning from, we have, a few electric vehicle, we have a few vehicle manufacturing facilities that are now switching over to be electric vehicle manufacturers. I was wondering if MEP could help with some of that upskilling. And then I don't know if when new facilities come into the state, if they work with those facilities on training as well. We've been thinking about tech colleges and things like that, but now I'm thinking MEP might have a role too.
MEP folks, do you have a response?
Yes, I'll take Stacy, thank you for that insightful question. I'll take first stab at it, and then Jose, you and Brian can help, feel free to speak. Stacy, 2-3 things here. Number one is we definitely want to inform you and your team about our supplier scouting service. This is at no cost to any agency, and basically and no cost to any manufacturer. We basically used our network of 51 centers. If any agencies have any supplier scouting need or manufacturer has such need, we we have them fill out our opportunity synopsis template and understand what are they looking for, and then use the 51 centers and their network of manufacturers to spread the work and see if there are any manufacturer who or maybe there are 3 manufacturers from across the nation who can work together to fill that. So we want to bring that cross connection. Also, if there are existing manufacturer who may not be into the electrification area, but may be interested and maybe needing to know what they can do to pivot into new market. So we help with them too, with that pivoting is part of our services too. So, either the complete solution or partial solution, either way, we want to identify what resources are there through our network of 51 centers and their outreach to manufacturers. The secondly, you mentioned, this is a huge learning, Stacy, for the manufacturers, especially the small and medium-sized manufacturers. So we last week, last week or this week is already too long, but just very recently, Jose and Brian helped me co-host Energy Roundtable, where we had GE speak to and DOE speak to the centers. So centers understand what are the large manufacturers' requirement, what are the federal agencies' requirement, and then they can help educate their network of small and medium-sized manufacturers. So I think at some point, Stacy, it would be useful to have you directly interface. We'll identify the forum or avenue for you, but it will be useful to include you or your team into a direct dialogue with our centers and center representatives. I think that's something we can do. Anything you want to add, Brian and Jose?
Yes, Stacy, I put a note in the chat where I used to be the regional manager of South Carolina MEP, and so I'm not surprised that you have worked with them because they're known all over South Carolina. Now, regarding the EV on the note, I mentioned that you probably know this. There is an alley of automotive in the whole, Southeast, going from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to Mississippi and Illinois, and from the Atlantic and from the Gulf Coast all the way up to Michigan. All those centers where we have a group, or let's call it a cohort. We're trying to figure out what kind of services we need to develop with regard to not only the emerging EV, but also those companies that provide services to internal combustion engine type of facilities that will be affected, like people that make mufflers. I mean, that's going to be affected there. So we're looking into it. We call those like emerging services. And some of the centers already have done studies to see, where should they basically approach. And lately, I don't know if you heard, there is a program there was a notice of intent that they're looking into companies that will be affected by the transition from the ICE to the EVs. And we already notified the centers of potential companies that they should approach with regard to let them know that there's going to be funding coming down from the DOE to be able to do the pivoting or the transformation or the revamp into that the new sector.
So, Stacy, I think we had mentioned in a previous exchange that you had also been passing along referrals and citations to Energy Star products and services. Could you say a few words about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times we encounter industry that has questions about energy, and I just try to make sure they know the resources that are out there. And one is the Energy Star resources that some of what you mentioned, but some are new to me today that you put out there. So I just try to, I think we only have one Energy Star manufacturer in South Carolina that last I looked, it was a concrete manufacturer. But just to know those resources are there to help them, I've been trying to pass those along.
Thank you.
Great. Jason Pope, you had also offered a comment in the chat. Did you want to chime in?
Yeah, so to give you a couple of updates, as far as Energy Star, historically the Mississippi State Energy Office has been a partner of the program, still is, and we talked with Maureen McNamara last week about kind of revamping our efforts and updating her on where we were at, and so we're planning to send somebody to the partner meeting in September, kind of get our Energy Star efforts back on track. And, because there's definite value. I was looking at I'm fairly new in the role. I started in November, but I was looking through some old documents and pictures of some of our Energy Star efforts in the past. And I think we need to get back on that. And so we're going to start working towards that. As far as MEP, we're close. We work closely with our Mississippi Manufacturers Association, which houses the MEP program here in Mississippi. And Sandy Chris, the director, and we both came out of higher education, and we've both been in our roles less than a year, but we've met and talked a few times. And we went to the last MMA conference down on the Gulf Coast just a month or so ago and set up a booth to promote our program. So as organizations in Mississippi contact MEP and kind of go through their, competitiveness review, and they get to the sustainability portion, that houses the energy efficiency aspect. They promote some of our programs, like our Mississippi Industrial Energy Efficiency Grant Program, which actually has a deadline this Friday for grant opportunities for those organizations here in Mississippi, and our Energy Efficiency Revolving Loan Fund. They promote those programs, and because the State Energy Office is housed within Mississippi Development Authority, which is our economic development division here at the state, we constantly get calls from manufacturers across the state that are needing assistance with different things. So we work closely with the association, and this has been a great presentation. I've learned quite a bit about both these programs that we've talked about, so this has been really good.
Great. Betsy, any reply or? on your?
My biggest reply is Maureen's certainly a very good person to talk to with the utility and the product side. If you'd like to get more involved with us on the industrial side, just give me an email and I'd be happy to schedule anything you want.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's have a conversation. You know, Maureen reached out because of the energy rebate programs on the horizon and kind of how we're going to tie all that together and where Energy Star fits and all of that. But Betsy, I'd love to visit with you.
You certainly have industry. We'd love to help you. Thank you.
Yep.
Great. So I saw Paul Lavoie put his camera on briefly, and I know he and his team and the other Connecticuters work closely with Constep, as well as with the IAC and all the other letters of the alphabet. Paul, did you want to say a few things?
Sure, absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. And for some reason now my video doesn't want to work. So, oh, how interesting. So, yeah, my name is Paul Lavoie. I am Connecticut's Chief Manufacturing Officer. I work in the executive branch of government, work for the governor to support manufacturing. So I work hand in glove with our MEP on all issues. Primarily, one of the things that we're working on is how do we reduce the cost of doing business in the state of Connecticut? And so that really, energy being one of the high cost drivers in our state, we're looking at energy efficiency and energy reduction opportunities. And then Connecticut, at the University of Connecticut, we do have a industrial assessment center there at the University of Connecticut, and I sit on their advisory board as well. And so we work very closely with them to make sure that we're taking advantage of the programs that we have to support manufacturers.
Great.
Yes, so I'm getting all kinds of weird messages here that my meetings are not responding. So if you can still hear me, that's great. So
Okay.
you can, good. So and
yes, we heard you.
Yeah, and MEP is my very, very close partner on supply chain development. The national MEP strategic plan aligns perfectly with Connecticut state manufacturing strategic plan. So we have a manufacturing strategic plan here in the state, and we are all aligned. And the MEP of my manufacturing cabinet as well here in the state. So
great. Do any of the other state folks have comments or want to raise your hand or chime in?
Yeah, hey, Rod, this is Matt Taylor from Tennessee. Good afternoon, everyone. I think this is actually the first meeting I've been able to join. I believe my colleague Kathy Galapa has attended in my place the last couple of meetings, but glad to finally join you all. So I oversee Tennessee's state sustainability office. We're housed in our environmental agency. We're a sister office to our state energy office, but we work really closely with them. We, in terms of engagement with manufacturers, largely are funded in our work through EPA's pollution prevention grant. We I would say are a really good outreach and convening organization. We don't provide as much in terms of direct technical assistance as some of the other P2 programs do. We do more outreach and education. What I will say is one of the programs that's funded through our P2 work is a program called Tennessee Sustainable Spirits. And it's a sort of membership program that's developed a sustainability checklist for our spirits producers in the state. And through that, we were engaged early on with Energy Star in the development of the distillery's industry profile. I know Kentucky was a big partner in that work with Kenya Stump, but we were very active on the front end, weren't as active through the process as it was being developed, but my understanding is that industry profile was just completed within the last couple of months and is out there. So really excited to see that completed. I will say in terms of I did say we don't offer as much direct technical assistance with spirits producers. We actually do site visits, walkthroughs, and the person that kind of leads that effort has a lot of experience in brewing and distilling processes. So we are actually walking through facilities, helping recommend value stream mapping processes, and things of that nature. Our work with the MEP in Tennessee, kind of pivoting to how we've partnered with them. So that's led by our University of Tennessee Center for Industrial Services. They're a really great group. In fact, in the past, we actually used to sub-grant a portion of our P2 work out to UTCIS. We've since brought that work in-house. They actually also have been the recipient of a separate P2 grant to kind of continue that work on their own regard. But despite not directly contracting with them, we still work with them really heavily. We leverage them for trainings. We've talked about recently doing some joint like ISO trainings for manufacturers in the state that are interested. And then just very recently, they weren't a partner in the sense that they'll receive funding through the grant if we're successful, but they were a partner on a state manufacturing leadership program grant that TDEC, Oak Ridge National Lab, our IAC submitted. And if awarded, they will help with some of the workforce development training and general outreach. So we will collaborate with them if awarded that, hopefully. And I was curious, I for those on the call, and not to hijack the meeting, but what did other states apply for the State Manufacturing Leadership Program grant from DOE? If there is time at the end, I'd be curious to hear if folks applied for that.
I have no answer for that. That's not something that I've tracked, and I don't think any of our DOE colleagues are on this call. So
there's also a series of grants EPA is giving out to each of the states. So those grants as well can include action in the various sectors. I think EPA is interested in hearing what sectors states will be following with those climate grants as well.
So this is the climate pollution reduction planning
Yes.
grants.
Yes.
And just as a side note, I spoke at a meeting a couple of weeks ago in Chicago, about 30 states in attendance on those grants, on an industrial panel, and I spoke about the working group and all the great work you all are doing.
Thank you.
And so the interest is, I've sort of put the bug in their ear about enhancing collaboration and cooperation across the various programs in the DOE, EPA, NIST, State P2, and all the other programs as well, and as well as emphasizing energy efficiency. As you know, there's a lot of enthusiasm for hydrogen and CCUS, which are very important things, but in my personal views, sometimes get a bit overemphasized relative to pollution prevention, energy efficiency, material efficiency, and so on.
Which, and also aren't ready for the prime time for most of the industry we're talking about.
So,
But I will also, to Matt's comments about the distilled spirits, thank you for mentioning that, Matt. We are still here. We're not going to ignore you all. We had to go and develop those tools, and we finally got the back and forth done with industry, and will be releasing the energy performance indicator tool next week for industry to begin certifying and testing their efficiency of their plants. So that actually got completed. It was a multi-year process, as you know.
I think Matt likes that program because of the free samples offered on the site visits.
And to be honest with you, we haven't gotten into any of their plants, so we're glad that you're out there in their plants.
And Paul's camera finally works. We get your profile. All right. Any other, oh, there was, Jose, you had a question for Betsy, actually, about sort of guidelines of, energy consumption and
Sure.
when firms ought to be looking for help.
So it's an interesting question. We do not put a percent on there. To be honest with you, we've always looked at industries as when we focused on industries particularly, there are some that if we set a goal of we don't work with someone less than 10%, we would have thrown out the auto manufacturers, we would have thrown out the pharmaceutical manufacturers, but they spend $2 billion as an industry each on energy. So we look at what the companies want and need from the program, and we try to scale our tools to them.
Funny you mentioned the pharmaceutical, because I was a professor in Puerto Rico, and you're totally right. When you look at the percentage, basically it's so small, but then they spend millions of dollars on it. So, well, yeah, you're totally right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a function of the value add of the final product. I mean, if I'm making aluminum, if I'm making, computer chips versus potato chips, it's going to be a bit different.
And we tend to look at the percent that energy occupies within their costs. And you can get all of that out of the census data. And there are some very large industries that could be overlooked and yet have great opportunities. So now I will be honest with you, it's very hard to tell a plant that's got a $10,000 energy spend that we've got to do something. That's hard.
Okay, any last comments? We're coming to the end of the hour and a half. I do thank you all for tuning in. Last chance, Jyoti, you've taken.
Yes, very quickly. Thank you, Rodney. I just want to build upon what Betsy was saying, and that is, for MEP National Network, energy sector is not new, but what we are doing is helping centers and helping manufacturers understand how to pivot from energy to clean energy. So there is again that learning and implementation is going to be there, and that's where the partnership again, Betsy, with your office too would be critical. And I know one of my employees is joining you, so I have told him already that he needs no pressure, but he needs to build more bridges between Energy Star and MEP, and happy to collaborate with you in the future.
And we will do that now that we have an insider.
That's right. And lastly, but most importantly, thank you again, Rodney, for including MEP into the conversation. Always reach out to Jose and Brian. They're much faster in responding in their emails than I am, but they are my, eyes and ears. So I'll know if you ever need any help in the future. We'll collaborate.
Okay, great.
And Rodney, Brian and I actually met Paul in Connecticut when we were there visiting the offshore wind turbines in Rhode Island. So, Paul, nice hearing you again.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all. This has been fantastic. We greatly appreciate this, and sounds like there's been a lot of learning and cross-fertilization, and we're looking forward to building on that with your programs as well as with others. And we will be posting the slides pretty soon, maybe not immediately, but in a day or two. And with the next forum, the topic is still TBD, but we will keep you informed. And have a great rest of the afternoon. And thank you again so much.
Thanks,
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.